So we know in thermodynamics, a system is separated from its surrounding by a boundary. Now in thermodynamics there can be three types of systems. The first is the isolated system, then we have open system, and then closed system. So what is isolated system? So if no exchange of mass and energy is allowed between a system and the surrounding through its boundary, then such a system is called isolated system. Now instead of mass you can also use the term matter. Okay, so you can say that if no exchange of mass or matter and energy is allowed between a system and surrounding, then such system is called isolated system. One example of and the boundary of an isolated system is called isolating boundary. Okay, so one example of isolated system is thermoflask. So here suppose we have this thermoflask and you have put some hot water in it, and there it has some kind of insulation, that is the heat of this hot water cannot escape into its surrounding, that is it cannot escape into the air. Okay, so the hot water will be acting like a system, and the wall of this thermoflask will be its surrounding, or will be its boundary, and the air outside will be the surrounding. So in this case the heat of this hot water cannot escape into the water, and also the hot water itself cannot come out outside. So there is no exchange of mass or energy, which is heat energy in this case, between this system of hot water within this thermoflask and outside, okay, surrounding. So the thermoflask will be the a isolated system, and its the wall of this thermoflask will be the isolating boundary. So no mass or energy can cross this isolating boundary. Next is open system. So what is an open system? So if a system with a boundary is allowed to exchange both the mass and energy, so you can use the term matter also, so both the mass or matter and energy with the surrounding, then such system is called an open system. So the open system has such a boundary that both the mass and energy can cross the boundary. Okay, so there can be exchange of mass and energy between the surrounding and the system. So one example of the open system is the boiling water with a lid. Okay, sorry, without a lid. Okay, so here suppose we have some boiling water, okay, and we don't have any lid on it. Okay, so you can see that the steam will come out of this boiling water. Okay, and will mix with the air surrounding it, and with this steam the heat energy will also be radiated into the surroundings. So in such a case both the heat and the steam can escape into air. So the system of boiling water will form an open system. Okay. Next is closed system. So what is a closed system? So if a system with a boundary is allowed to exchange only energy with the surrounding, but exchange of mass is not allowed, then such a system is called closed system. So the closed system has such a boundary that exchange of only energy is allowed with the surrounding, but exchange of mass or matter is not allowed, then such a system is called a closed system. So what is example of a closed system? So if you have a boiling water with the lid on, which is suppose fixed, then it will form a closed system. Okay, so in this case the heat can escape into the air or the surrounding, okay, by radiation. So suppose if you put your hand over here, then you will feel hot, that is the heat which is radiating from this closed pot will reach your hands. Okay, so here but no water or no steam, right? No steam can come out of this pot because we have a lid put on it. Okay, so so the boiling water with the lid on will form a closed system.